door that flows to all tourists.
Oh, I like the tone that sets.
Yeah.
We're going to be walking around with this a little bit.
This tour is kind of the most VIP thing we can do for you here. Because this tour only runs once an hour.
Oh, wow.
And it maxes out at like 7 or 8
This is
people.
one of these already starting, locations.
Yeah.
I haven't been counting the
These
stairs,
stairs all the way up.
but we're nowhere near 300.
How many of those do you do a day?
I only do this tour about once a week. On a regular tour day, though, regular tour is 5. So it's still a lot of walking on this job. And this is the hardest set of stairs for me, possibly because it's like the least exciting and it's the more fun.
Your first responsibility now.
Here we go, the first door.
Actually, well, my first responsibility was showing the house.
That's true.
And I think I did pretty well.
Nailed it.
All right, well, we stop here for a couple of reasons. One of them is for you to catch your breath. Me too. The other is to talk about this drawing that we have enlarged right here. The original version of this drawing is made in the 1850s. It is the plan for the dome we want to build. And we do build it. We have it here so we can show you what we're about to do. So I just collected you down here in this room we call the crypt. I've already hiked you to like here. We're gonna go up this spiral. We're gonna hang out at the base of this zigzag for a little while. We're gonna talk some architectural history. Then up the zigzag, actually through the rotunda wall. This is not a ladder, it's a staircase that comes across the windows at a diagonal. Then we're gonna catch this staircase up and over this inner dome, hang out here talking about the painting for a bit. Then one last staircase will take us outside. And when we're done, we just come down all those stairs. So that's where we started. It takes right about an hour. I promise we'll be down by 1 because there's another tour scheduled at 1. So however long this takes before that, we'll just take it as it goes. I have things I tell you at the different stops, but I also know a whole lot about the building and I love talking about it. So if you have questions, just shout them out. I'm happy. Awesome. You guys good?
Yeah.
Everybody's breath caught?
Yeah.
Love it. It's both a person and a job. And
Oh, it's like a
federal
full-time job.
agency. Yeah, it's a full-on federal agency. The one I work for. All right. Out we go. If you guys would, right here, we're going to use these pictures to talk about it. Come on out. So we're going to talk about these panels. So, let's talk a little bit about how we come to have the Capitol building. Because Washington, D.C. is not our country's first capital city. And when we decide to create Washington, D.C., we give ourselves a really tight deadline. In 1790, we say we're going to have a brand new capital city done by 1800. Anyway, we don't fully get it finished. But we have several contests. One of those contests is for a building for Congress to meet in. So way down here by me is a copy of the winner for basically the first Capitol building here in DC. It has a House wing, a Senate wing, and a dome ceremonial bit in the middle. Great, we have a winner. We start building on this in the 1790s. But for a variety of reasons, including fire and war and all kinds of other stuff, we don't get the building finished, with an asterisk on that, until the 1820s. So this cool black and white photo was made in the 1840s, but the building already looked like this by the 1820s. It has a House wing, a Senate wing, and a dome ceremonial space in the middle. But the dome we built looked pretty much nothing like the one we designed. This dome we built, people didn't particularly like it. Structurally, they thought it was kind of ugly. It's made of wood, which is a fire hazard, and we're scared of fire around these parts. But it was done, and that was the super important part. Now, one of the cool things about this photo is if you look below the roof line of the dome, you can see carved into the walls of the rotunda are rectangles. Look above you. Same rectangles. You are currently standing on the Capitol roof. It's kind of odd. I like imagining if we were in this photograph, we'd be like here-ish. So, by the 1840s, into the early 1850s, our country had expanded so much, adding new states and new people, that this original Capitol building is no longer sufficient for our lawmakers. So in the 1850s, we do this massive construction where we build a new House wing, a new Senate wing, and we've expanded the building so much horizontally, it is the perfect excuse to get rid of this dome. That is where the drawing we started with comes in. Thomas Walter proposes this big new dome for the building. He proposes making it of metal. The whole dome you guys are about to climb is cast iron. It weighs about 9 million pounds. 8.9 if you want to get technical. We actually bought it by the pound. So we know exactly how much we paid for it. Construction happens in the 1850s into the 1860s. This piece of raw cast iron fell into basically a crevice when they were constructing it, and nobody pulled it out. They were just like, whatever, gone forever. And same thing happened to the tool, but we did a really big restoration project about 10 years ago, had this whole thing covered in scaffolding and tarps, and when they were in there doing that, they found these. So we put them on display so you guys can see what the raw cast iron looks like 150 some odd years later. So a few things about the metal dome. It is so much larger than that original wooden one. It is actually wider than the rotunda walls. So when you look up, you can see the outer curve of the bottom of the metal dome. It's supported by those cantilevers. That is why there's this wall here. This wall behind me exists because the join between the bottom of the dome and the roof of the Capitol would look super duper awkward. And so they put this wall in, it's called the skirt, and its purpose is basically that of a bed skirt or a tablecloth. It's not structural, it's just hiding all the stuff back here so it looks nice and smooth going up. Which, again, I think is kind of cool. And the last really interesting thing is a reminder as a material, things can be hollow with metal that can't with stone. The columns are hollow, which my brain does not recognize when we're outside. But if you look up, you can actually see the underside of the columns. Some of them have downspouts coming through them, so when it's raining, that's how we get the water off the dome. And in the initial construction, they actually even vented some fireplaces up through them, just to, make it happen. I don't know. We don't do that anymore. But it's just such an odd thing. And the fact that the columns are hollow is something that even over a decade here, my brain just doesn't recognize until I'm standing here and reminded of it. The other photographs just continue the construction. The third photo in this one is from the day that the Statue of Freedom's final piece was placed, which was December 2nd, 1863. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the specifics of construction for the dome as we get further up. Do you guys have any questions before we do that? Good? And all these staircases are original. They always intended for folks to come to climb the dome. Not just maintenance, but people coming to visit. Yeah, the original building had a massive fire that basically gutted it. So the walls of the initial construction stayed standing on the House and Senate sides, but everything on the inside was dumbs out, and we had to rebuild. That was 1814. It was that fire. It was before we built the middle section.
It was part of the War of 1812.
It was War of 1812. Just that war extended beyond 1812. Yeah, so quick story on that. War of 1812, the United States tells Canada, hey, you want to come join? And Canada's like, no, thank you. And at some point we're like, actually, it's not a question. So we send troops up into Canada. We burn a city then called York, today called Toronto. Not particularly kind. As the war goes on, August 24th, 1814, British and Canadian troops invade Washington, D.C., and basically return the favor. They burn a lot of the federal buildings, the Capitol, the White House, the Navy Yard, and a couple of others. So, like, we started it, but that's why it gets burned down. And then we rebuild, and Congress moves back in 1819. So, they thought about not coming back. They actually voted. They were like, maybe we should leave D.C., and it wasn't unanimous to stay. I don't remember the numbers. This door is heavy and weird. Please be extra careful.
Good flag.
Yeah.
Got it? Yep.
Got it. Good boy. Oh man. Wow. Holy cow.
I'm just bringing it up here so I don't end up in like good view spots. So we are now back inside the rotunda. This room is 180 feet from the floor to the ceiling. You're a little over halfway up, and I am definitely going to tell you about the painting up top, but we're going to be on that balcony up there, so just hold that thought. Everything around you is metal. It is all cast iron. The walls are both behind and in front of you. All of this architectural decoration, also metal, just painted. To get your bearings, you guys are looking out to the south. So that door with the black and white tiles across the way, that is the house wing of the building. You are on the north side, you are over the door that leads into the Senate wing of the structure. The velvet ropes down there are a hallway. They are meant to help lawmakers and their staff get back and forth between the two halves of the building when the number of visitors is extremely high down there, which certain times of year it is. A few cool things. You see this black and white artwork that goes all the way around the room? It's a timeline, and it is a sculpture. Sorry, it's not a sculpture, it's a painting. I don't know why my brain told you the exact wrong information. It does look like a sculpture, but it is a painting, it's flat. The timeline starts kind of off to the right with Christopher Columbus landing in the New World. We get the Spanish in the Americas in the first quadrant. Then we get the British colonizing the first states. Following them, we get revolution scenes. Then a couple more 19th century wars. The guys with pickaxes are the gold rush. The two shaking hands are end of Civil War. And the timeline ends out with the Wright brothers. The whole thing is over 300 feet long, and the people in it are taller than us.
Wow.
The figures are 7 foot.
Good Ohio voice.
Wow.
So the last thing I want to point out to you is where it goes metal to stone. Because the walls of the rotunda really are sandstone. If you look from the timeline, below it, you get that line of squares, that's all still metal. But you go down from that a little bit further, you can see where it starts to change color, be kind of variegated. That is where the sandstone starts, or ends, depending on your perspective. Questions up here? Because I'm yelling loudly, I'm going to throw a cough drop in my mouth. We're going to keep going. I just, it's one of those days. You guys good?
Yeah.
Maybe not new to you, but new on this tour. You are now in the interstitial space of the US Capitol building. Interstitial is a word used in medicine as well as architecture to describe being between the inner and outer layer of something. So this whole area we're going to climb through, interstitial space. I just really like that word. The other reason I stopped you in here is so you can get a close look at the literal nuts and bolts that hold this thing together. The dome is not welded in any way. It's all nuts, bolts, and rivets.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's actually pretty cool because it's not welded, it can shift. Like in heavy wind, it can actually move a little bit more than if it were welded, because then you'd have more cracks. So I didn't work here when DC had that big earthquake over a decade ago, but the guys working in the rotunda said the whole thing like made screechy noises as it shifted, and then everyone ran out of the building. The metal, the actual cast iron, is cast mostly in the Bronx in New York City, brought down here in pieces on trains and assembled on site by a second team. We started on the construction in the 1850s, and we finished the Statue of Freedom in 1863, mid-Civil War. So one of the really clever things that the people who are manufacturing the metal do to communicate with the ones who are putting this together is label in a variety of ways. So we're going to slide up just a little bit more, and I'm going to point out a place where we can see 4 different pieces of metal, all cast with the same indicator on them to let the ones assembling this know what goes where, which I think is kind of cool.
Oh, okay.
So those of you toward the back of the group, you may see it as you come by, but it's right here. It says number 1 on 4 different pieces of metal. Every piece on this level gets a number 1. The next level up all gets a number 2, and so on and so forth. In other places, they use letters, Roman numerals, all kinds of different designations, so folks working with that piece of metal know exactly where to put it, which is really clever, to be honest, because it's cast into it rather than written on, so it couldn't be erased.
And this is hinged. So.
That is hinged. I'm certainly not going to open it. I have seen it opened. It looks into the rotunda, and this is the only one that's hinged, and basically if we need a maintenance person on the inside of the rotunda,
Yeah, no.
they climb through this.
That's a hard one.
So, yes, we're not doing that. I have seen this opened by a member, but my coworkers and I have been told basically on pain of firing, don't do that. But we can't tell members what to do, so if they do it, it is what it is. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool. On our way down, there's a photo of somebody painting on the inside. Now you know how we got out there. We have a big old staircase to climb. This is one of the very low bridges. So everyone please watch your head. And as we go up, this staircase curves to the right, but the dome will actually start to narrow. So please watch your left shoulder. Pieces of metal are going to be kind of in your space. Take as much time as you need. We are doing great on timing. So let's keep going.
Uh-oh.
So you are now right at the top of the horizontal. If you're feeling it, you can totally look over the edge. I admit I have my glasses as if I were My estimate is we're at about 140 feet up, give or take. This painting above us, I have a whole spiel about it, but I also want to make sure everybody, we're good? Yeah?
Yeah.
And we'll also take photos. I just want to make sure I'm not interrupting you. Good?
Good.
Okay, spiel. This is the apotheosis of Washington. Apotheosis means to raise somebody to a godlike status. So here's George Washington in the heavens. I'm going to be honest, pretty sure he would have hated that we made this thing. So we've got Washington in the middle. The ladies with him, blue blanket is liberty, green blanket is victory, and the 13 maidens who complete the circle represent the 13 original states. Each one of those ladies has a star above her head because each state has one star on our flag. They hold a banner that reads E pluribus unum, that is Latin, it's our original motto, it means out of many, one. The outer ring of our painting, this is what you can't see very well from downstairs, basically because of the balcony you're currently standing on. These are scenes of Roman gods and goddesses interacting with people and inventions from U.S. history. So across the way from us with Captain America's shield is Bellona, goddess of war, triumphing over tyranny. One to the right is Ceres, goddess of the harvest with the McCormick Reaper. Next closer is Vulcan, god of the forge with a cannon and a steam engine. Directly above us is Mercury, god of all kinds of stuff. In this case, it is commerce, giving a money bag to Robert Morris, financier of the Revolution. Then Neptune. I admit I play favorites. I love Neptune the best. He is god of the sea. He has the transatlantic eagle with him. The very first one of those was placed in the 1850s, and we were still really proud of it. The last one then is Minerva, goddess of wisdom, hanging out with inventors and inventions, including Ben Franklin. Because, like, who else are we going to have hanging out with her? Some numbers. Area, 4,664 square feet, which is about the size of a basketball court. Finished in 11 months in 1865. Our artist actually signed it right above your heads. This you can't see from below. The signature up here. His name is Constantino Brumidi. If the name sounds Italian, it is. He was from Rome. He trained as an artist, worked at the Vatican for like 20 years, and then in 1852 had a fight with the Pope and decided he was going to immigrate to the U.S. Spent the rest of his life decorating the Capitol. So he was in his 50s when he arrived to the U.S., to give you a sense of like a truly mature artist when he gets here. I have a bunch of other things I can tell you about this painting and him. But do you have any questions?
So was it painted in place or placed in painting?
Painted in place. The technique on this is called true fresco. Fresco means fresh in Italian. The way it's done is Brumidi would put down wet plaster on the support surface, only as much as he thought he could get painted in a day. That's called a giornata, Italian for day. And he would paint directly onto the still wet plaster. As that plaster dries, it actually pulls the pigment beneath the surface. It becomes super duper durable. It's a technique that goes all the way back at least to ancient Rome that he would have learned as an art student in Rome before coming here. He was basically the only artist in the US who knew how to paint this way. It's the same technique as the Sistine Chapel. And to show you a single giornata, if you look above you, right under the date, you've got that horizontal kind of wavy line, and that is the top part of a little section that you can see looks almost like a puzzle piece fitted in. That is a single giornata. He climbed those stairs y'all came up. That's how he got to work. Yeah, his commute was vertical. And he's also the brains behind and artist behind part of the timeline that I pointed out. The timeline is actually a newer artwork than this one. So we got this one first. And he has worked in both the House and Senate as well as SecureCyber. You've got a conference room right now, right? Yeah. His job application is a conference room associated with the office he works for. Yeah.
Practical.
Yeah. He was like, let me show you what I can do. And they were like, well, we need this room decorated. And Congress really liked it, so we got hired. So I have one other thing that I think is really cool, and since we're doing great on time, indulge me. It is about this wall. This little wall right here is also not original. If you climb this thing in 1900, it's just this little railing right here. Yeah, I'm real happy they put in this silly wall. It came when we air-conditioned the Capitol. Because the interstitial space gets real hot. It's basically the world's largest Dutch oven. And so in order to keep that beautiful air-conditioned cool air in, they put in this wall to separate the spaces. And when they did, the windows were opaque. They let in light, and the very first time I come up here, those windows were in place. Okay, why are those windows gone? When we did the restoration, we ordered perfect replacements of exactly what was there, right? We wanted to put in what was there. But as the workers were up here, they had removed the old ones, and they saw this amazing view. They were thinking, oh, man, I wish we'd ordered transparent. So we get the opaque ones, the order comes in, and they are the wrong size. Error in our favor. So when they reordered them, they did transparent to allow us now to be able to see out into the space. So I just think that's cool, but also really glad that wall exists, because otherwise, yeah, it'd be a lot less comfortable. Anything else? The hooks, yeah. I've heard the hooks of lanterns, and I've also heard they go in mirrors. And when they make on item 4 to eliminate this, because now we have these guys. But before we had those uplights, we would have needed a different way. So I think mirrors and lamps, depending on the year. Which also would have been more effective without this wall here. But by the 1930s, we had electricity. So thankfully. Here's the game plan. We have one more big staircase. We're going to go outside, and we are going to have a ton of time outside to talk, take photos, what have you. Before we move from here, though, did everybody get the pictures they want from this level? Yeah? Yep. Cool. Let's keep moving. Check in, and I have to wait for it to give me the right message. And it's slow. No, the guy who came up left it unarmed, so I just armed it again. So now I have to unarm it again. Whatever. We're good now. Come on up. And the worst thing that happens if I trip the movement alarm is a Capitol Police officer comes up and is like, you tripped the movement alarm.
And he's not real happy.
Definitely cranky, but it has happened, clearly.
After all the Capitol Police officers go, all right, who's going up?
So we are now up and over the backside of the apotheosis painting. That's the big bubble under it. Call folks, this one might sneak up on you.
Kyle, watch out.
Good news. We're not going any higher. Success.
Look at all these stairs. They're still huge.
There are, and they had that not only little sign, but they had to put a padlock on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Under any circumstance.
Under any circumstances.
Yes.
Years ago, I did this tour before they had the padlock, and a representative hopped behind that sign and had his staff take his photo. And then he asked me what I was going to do, and I was like, nothing. If you don't break anything, I'm not going to tell anybody. Like, come on now. Now, the reason we haven't popped outside yet is I have one other cool thing in this space. There's a big light fixture turned on way up there. That indicates that either the House or the Senate is currently in session. That is visible all the way from Maryland and Virginia, and it is meant for people to be able to look at this building and instantly know if our lawmakers are here. It does not tell you which one, by the way. So right now, Senate. I mean, the House had a pro forma, right?
Yes.
They were in and out,
Yes.
but the Senate is in. So that's what's going on.
Does that get turned off at midnight tonight too?
No, if they're in, it'll stay on. At least I think. No, admittedly, I came here to work one Saturday morning when there was nothing big going on and it was still on because somebody forgot to turn it off.
Oh.
So it's not like
It's not
100%. Yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pop out this last door. I'm gonna leave this door open. When we go through, it's almost like exiting a submarine, weirdly enough. It's a low door and there's a lip at the bottom. So I want everyone to just be kind of extra careful as you come through. And when you get outside, turn right. That's the view. Watch your head, watch your toes, make a right turn.
Whoa. Yeah, that's the view, all right.
Yeah, see? This is the view, right? This is why you endured all those stairs. I was trying to count my way to 15, 25. Arguably the best view in DC.
Yeah, I'd say this is it right here.
What's the other one in the argument?
Washington Monument.
Oh.
Top there?
Yeah, up at the top in their little windows.
Go back.
Yeah, looking back at this thing. The only difficulty there is that's actually a couple 100 feet higher than this, and the windows are very small, and you're not outside. So the people who run that did this dome tour with one of our guides, and our guide didn't know who they were, and she started the tour with, "You're gonna have the best view in DC." We come up here year round, so sometimes hot and blazes, sometimes freezing. You just never know.
Kind of perfect today.
This is not bad. I prefer a little bit colder so I can wear my sweater vest, but that's a me thing. Like you, I'm from Ohio, so I don't do hot very well. I'm from the east side of Cleveland. Grew up in Geauga County. And I went to school at Denison University. Didn't leave Ohio. Anyway, we are now looking north. This is North Capitol Street. You are looking out across the top of the Senate wing. So this large, I guess, horizontal for us roof that has a flag flying, that is where the Senate chamber sits. That flag is flying because the Senate is in session. If they were not in session, the pole would be bare. The Senate's office buildings are off to the right. They are Russell, Dirksen, and Hart, built in that order, named after senators who folks were really into when they decided to do the naming process. Oh yeah, and Union Station, our beautiful train station designed by Daniel Burnham. Daniel Burnham was one of the guys involved in the 1893 World's Fair. He is also the architect of the Flatiron Building in New York City and a bunch of other important buildings in Chicago. So If you haven't been inside Union Station, I do recommend you take just a wander through. It is a gorgeous structure. It was finished in like 1909-ish. I used to know the exact date. Let's go east.
Excuse me, what's the big church?
The big church, the big pointy one,
Yeah.
that is the National Basilica of the National Shrine. It is the Catholic Church headquarters here in DC. Because the other big church on the horizon is the Episcopal headquarters, and that is called the National Cathedral.
Gotcha.
They're both gorgeous. You also could visit both of them, and they're beautiful. The National Cathedral, one of their gargoyles is Darth Vader.
Really?
Yes. I'm completely serious.
Interesting choice.
Indeed. So that's the Supreme Court and the National Archives.
So now we are facing due east. This street ahead of us is called East Capitol Street. To the left of the East Capitol, that white building with the scaffolding, is the Supreme Court. To the right of East Capitol Street, the building with the green roof, is the Jefferson Building of the Library of Congress. Both of those entities, the Library of Congress and the Supreme Court, actually met here in the Capitol building. The Library of Congress moves out in 1897. Supreme Court doesn't move out till 1935. So, you know, we got there eventually. One of the cool things as you're looking out is noticing the grounds of the Capitol itself. These beautiful curving walkways. These are designed in the 1870s by Frederick Law Olmsted, who was at the time our nation's foremost landscape architect. He's the guy who did Central Park. We asked him to do this because that was such a success. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to point south, and we're going to look at house things. So this big roof that is horizontal to us right now, that is where the House chamber sits. You can see the flagpole on that one, empty. That indicates not currently in session. The House has 3 office buildings just like the Senate does. They are arranged along the street, starting on the left with the columns, the paired columns. That is Cannon. The one in the middle is Longworth, and the big one is Rayburn. Built in that order. All 3 of the men those are named after were Speaker of the House at different times. I will also point out you're looking toward the airport. That is National Airport. You can see the planes coming and going. If you fly in through there, of course, the views from the terminal are fabulous. And this is the Potomac River. I guess I should name the river you're looking at. So here's the thing. Our descent from the dome has to start by 50 after, which is still over 15 minutes from now. What I propose is you guys can walk around, do